Today we're going to get into detail of exactly how we're going to budget for our first year of travel.
And stick around to the end because we're going to share with you exactly what our budget is for our first year of travel. Welcome to this episode of To Go Run. We're an early retired couple that sold everything we own
to travel the world for the next 10 years, tracking our budget every step of the way.
So today's episode is coming to you from the very picturesque town of Stone in Staffordshire. I'm sat here on the edge of the canal. It really is a glorious location and a fantastic day. So what we want to do in this video is break down for you the number of steps that we're going to go through in our budgeting, and then explain why that means something to you and why you should come along for the ride with us on this journey. Now, the first point we want to outline is how we're going to budget. And we're going to be budgeting on a monthly and annual basis. So every 4 weeks, every month, we will produce a budget at the beginning of the month.
So the budget in each location is going to be different, flexing to the forecasted cost of living that we've obtained from online resources, supported by our own homemade calculator.
The budget for each location will be broken out into a number of categories, which are groceries, rent and utilities, entertainment, eating and drinking out, transport, local transport that is, and incidentals. We'll also include on there more kind of global things for the whole trip, such as insurance and long haul travel between locations.
What won't be included? Well, we will not include any technology, any of our camera equipment, and anything that's actually unique to us.
Yeah, and how's this going to help you by us giving you all this information? Well, Sarah, let's get to the pub and tell them how it's going to help them, because my throat's going a bit dry. I think I need a beer. Yep, let's go. So as they start their walk to the pub, I just wanted to talk through some of the tools that we use to put our budget together. So this is Numbeo, a fantastic utility that scrapes data from reliable sources across the internet. And this gives us a really key view for locations we want to go to. But there are areas in here where we sometimes see the results are somewhat questionable, certainly in the area around utilities and for rent. So that's when we like to augment this with information from other sources, such as Airbnb. So I'm just going to run through an example here of selecting a month in Airbnb and how we would go through, get an approximation of how we should budget for the accommodation in this location. So this is Rio de Janeiro. And just to be clear, this isn't so that I can book it now. It's just so we can do an outline budget before we make a decision on where we actually want to stay in the world. So we set this up with the filters that we would normally use, such as Wi-Fi being absolutely critical in a lot of areas, so is air conditioning. And then look at what's available, zoom in on what's there and pick something in an area we know we would like to be, and just open it up to decide whether this is the kind of apartment we would want to be in. And if so, that means that we're a lot more confident of the price of this Airbnb that's being presented to us from Airbnb website. That way we would use this rather than Numbeo to define our budget. Another tool we use is Nomadlist, which you can see here, where this just gives us another view. So we look at cost of living on here, and how much is Airbnb on here, and how much is a beer, or how much is a coffee, or whatever. It's just an area where we can pull more data together. Once we've got that, what we then want to do is use the tools that we've built ourselves. This is our own tools for our own purposes, where I've taken some data from online sources for the benefit of indexing. So you can see here I'm putting our home location in, which is Birmingham in the UK, and using the same example of Rio de Janeiro, I select that so you can see that the index numbers are somewhat different. And then I put some of the detail that I see from Numbeo. I put something around our own style of living, so how often we eat out or drink out and so on, and that gives us a really good approximation of what our budget will be, and that's what we're going to use with a 10% on there for contingency. And then as we go through the month, we built our own expense budget tracker as well, where you can put the exchange rate in for the location and key in the budget for your home currency, and it will calculate that into the currency of where you're going to. And then as I go through the month, or as we go through the month, I should say, we can enter the different categories for each day of the month. So Airbnb, rather than putting in a single figure, I'm just putting that into each day. And you can see the utility cost, nothing because it's all included in Airbnb. Just putting in some rough figures here to show you on the right hand side how we're using it. It shows us the UK numbers and what the conversion would be into the location we go into. And what I like to see here is it's showing the rundown of the budget as we're going through the month and the drain on the budget, but also it's showing us how we need to flex the budget. So do we need to increase, do we need to decrease our spending as we go through? Right, they should be at the pub now. Let's see how they're doing. We're going to share with you how we calculate our budget each and every month. Every budget is going to be different based upon its individual location.
And we will, of course, update you on our progress throughout the month.
And when we're vlogging on our day out each day, and we're having beers and doing
Cheers,
fun things along the cheers, we will total up everything we spend, every penny that day, so you can see what the average prices of things are on the move. So if we're buying a beer, we'll tell you how much that beer costs. If we're having a coffee, we'll tell you. If we're going out for a meal, going for entertainment, going to a zoo, we'll total up every one of those costs as we go through.
The budgets are likely to be challenging for us, but we will share our location full cost of living at the end of each month.
And we'll also share the lessons that we learn, because we're going to be planning up front what we're going to be spending each month. It's only when we get to the end of the month we'll learn we shouldn't have gone for that expensive meal when we thought we could do on day 2 of the month. So how's this going to help you? Well, you can use us as your baseline as you start to plan out your own travels. If you're just going to a single location, or if you're planning to travel the world as we are. So that should be helpful. Okay, let's move on.
And then we will also upload all of that information, the cost of living from each location, along with the lessons learnt, onto our website, so you can refer back to that at any time.
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty comprehensive, I think, every month. So you're going to see at the start what we think it's going to cost us. You're going to see during the month as we're spending, and you'll see at the end of the month what it did actually cost us, and we'll give you all of that detail on the website. Pretty comprehensive. So what have we missed? If there's anything you can think of that we should be adding onto this, let us know in the comments below. And if you're new here, or even if you haven't yet subscribed, now's the time to do that, because we've got so much over the year to bring to you, which is going to be fun packed, but also, as you can tell, pretty information packed too. So we said at the beginning, we're going to share with you our budget number, and that number is well, you can do a drum roll, but I don't know if we've fully worked out what that number is yet. Well, we'll be back in a minute and we'll tell you exactly what that budget number is. We've just spent the last half an hour working out what our budget is for the year. Let's have that drum roll.
That's not very good.
You're really good at your drum rolls. Our budget number for the year is £35,000. So that isn't to say that we can only afford £35,000. We do have a bit of leeway in there if we need it, and if there's any crisis that we need to manage. But our budget number for the year is £35,000. That's for each month in each location, together with those overarching costs of insurance, long haul travel, and anything else that we need to spend to get us on the road. Probably even if we need to buy some baggage or anything like that. So 35,000. So again, in the comments, let us know, do you think that's a lot or not a lot? I'll be really interested to know whether you're listening to that going, how the hell are they going to live on 35 grand a year? Really, honestly, stick that in the comments below. We want to see it. So There you have it. That's this week's episode. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time when we're going to give you a bit of a tour around this gorgeous town we're staying in Staffordshire called Stowe, and you'll see just what a beautiful country the United Kingdom is. Hang on a minute, why is it we're going to travel the world? Anyway, we'll see you next time. You've been watching To Go Roam. Bye.